We are, Johanna, we are expecting a good crew today, so we're gonna give folks some time to come in from the waiting room. So thank you for your patience as we admit folks. We will get started shortly. We'd love to know who's with us today. So if you're willing and able to put your name and organization in the chat, we'd love to see that. Welcome to those who are just joining us. If you could mute yourself before we start today's presentation, that would be helpful just for sound quality purposes. Thanks, everyone. We're seeing all the interest coming in. Welcome, everybody. All right. Well, I want to officially say welcome and thank you for joining us this afternoon for this session with the team at Impala on how to build a profile on their platform. My name is Kelton Artuso, and I'm the Associate Director of Programs here at Philanthropy Massachusetts. For those of you who are new to our organization, we are a membership organization committed to the practice and expansion of effective and responsible philanthropy throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. We do this by providing opportunities and learning, networking, access to resources and tools, and community building. And we strive to serve as a bridge between funders and fund applicants for better understanding, efficiency, and impact. Our team has been working with Impala since the early days of their platform. It's been a privilege to watch the platform grow and evolve and to see the concepts that were discussed early on developed into a robust tool that we'll be exploring today. As you may know, thanks to investments by the Barr Foundation and the Boston Foundation, nonprofits with a Massachusetts connection have complete access to the Impala platform for the next 2 years. Although everything that you'll be seeing today will continue to be accessible beyond that time frame, free of charge. I'm sure the Impala team can speak more eloquently on the power of their product, so I will leave them to do that and instead quickly review some logistics before we get started. We encourage you to share questions and reactions and reflections in the chat box throughout today's conversation, and there will be a dedicated Q&A time at the end of the session as well. If you're experiencing any technical difficulties, please let us know in the chat box at any time. To access closed captioning, you can click on the captions button at the bottom of your screen and then select show captions. We are making a recording of this webinar and we'll share it with our registrant list once today's session is over. So with that, I will turn it over to Danielle to take us away. Thanks, Danielle.
Thanks so much, Kelton, for that warm introduction. As Kelton mentioned, my name is Danielle Belanger, and I'm a partnerships director here at Impala. And before my time at Impala, I was a program officer at GMA Foundations, a Boston-based philanthropic consulting firm. And over my time there, I really got a chance to work with several foundations, both locally and across the entire country, and get to know their grantees as well. And I love the Impala tool, and I think it's something that folks in the sector can really use to enhance and support their work. So as we're running through today, I really hope you take that away from the conversation, and it's something that you can put to use in your work. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get started. As Kelton mentioned, we are happy to field questions in the chat as I'm presenting. I have a colleague who has joined me today from Impala, and he will be able to answer questions as I go. So feel free to drop those in the chat, and we'll do our best to keep up with them and save time at the end for some Q&A as well. So let's go ahead and just cover the agenda real quick and then we'll get going. So up first, we're going to give you a quick review of Impala. I hope, some of you have heard about us, given our partnership with Philanthropy Mass, and we'll just do a quick review so you have a sense of what the platform is all about. Next, we'll jump right into the platform, show you how to get started if you haven't already created an account, show you places to edit your profile, and show where that data comes into action on the actual platform. And then we'll wrap up with some next steps and that Q&A time that we've mentioned now a couple times. So without further ado, let's jump in. So Impala is a groundbreaking new platform that's networking the whole social impact sector and democratizing data access. So we're breaking down existing paywalls for existing platforms and allowing permanent free access to all existing 990 information. So as Kelton was mentioning, there's profiles for every nonprofit and philanthropic foundation in the US, and that's what we're going to focus on today. And that represents over 2 million organizations from across the country who file 990s with the IRS. And the other element of Impala is what we call ecosystem intelligence. We won't touch on that too much today. We actually have a dedicated session on that coming up with Philanthropy Mass, so I encourage you to check that out if you're interested. But we will briefly touch on it today just to show you the ropes a little bit. And as Kelton mentioned, thanks to this partnership we have with the Boston Foundation, VAR Foundation, and Philanthropy Mass, both the profiles and ecosystems tools are available to you for free for the next 24 months if you are a nonprofit based in Massachusetts or a funder based in Massachusetts. So the profiles will always be free, and that's what we're going to run through primarily today on our session. So what is Impala? First and foremost, Impala is a platform that provides powerful insights for both grant makers and fundraisers for free. And we do that on one platform with one account where you can see the entire sector. So this might remind you a little bit of Candid and Foundation Directory Online, GuideStar, those kinds of databases that you might be familiar with. But in our instance, this is one platform with one account where you can see everything. And most importantly, it's free. So you have full access to search and unlimited profile views, no matter what, for all those 2 million plus organizations across the country. And in addition to that free search and profile views, we provide some really nice, robust data analysis and insights through interactive tools across the platform that are ready to use as soon as you log in and get going. So without further ado, I'm not going to spend more time talking to you with slides. I'll go ahead and shift gears to run through an actual demo of the platform. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So what I'm going to show you right now, we're now on the home screen for Impala, the home page. You can see up along the top, log in. So if you already created an account, you can just click there and enter your credentials. But I'm going to run you through the sign up process real quick for those of us who have not yet created an account. So we click up here on the sign up now button at the top right, and it presents us with a page to enter our credentials. So I'm going to go ahead and do that just to show you the ropes of that process. Typing in my email address and my name and creating a password. And in case you want to verify what password you've written in is the same as you might experience across the internet and other places, you can go ahead and click this little icon here to see what you've typed and just verify that it is consistent. So I'm going to go ahead, I filled this in now, and click the Get Started button. So now what this is telling me is I need to go ahead and verify my email address just to ensure that I'm a real person with a real email account. So let's go ahead and do that now. Here we go. So pretty instantaneously, we can see we get an email from support@impala.digital that says verify your email. So we can scroll down here and we can see verify your account button right here. So we just click on that and it will bring us back to the Impala page to log in one last time to verify those credentials that we just created. So filling in that information that I just set up will get me right onto the platform. So I just did that. I clicked sign in and now I'm in. So if you're logging in for the first time, you'll get this offer for show me around a tour of the tool, but I'm here to do that for you today. So we're going to go ahead and close this window and just jump right in. So what we're seeing here right now is the main page you'll be presented whenever you come onto Impala. And this is the search tool that I've mentioned previously. We'll get into this a little bit later, but for now, I want to jump through some initial key steps to get started on the platform. So first and foremost, we encourage folks to go ahead and claim an organization that they're affiliated with. If you work with a nonprofit or a foundation, go ahead and connect yourself to that organization. And there's really two key reasons to do that. First and foremost, it allows you to do the things we're going to show you today. It'll allow you to make updates to your profile. And the second piece is that you get a chance to see everything on the platform through the lens of your organization and compare to your organization's data points. So we encourage folks to go ahead and claim their organization. You can just click this button up here, and then you can start typing the name of your organization, and a list will generate to help you find your organization. You choose it on that list and then press the continue button to just run through a couple of quick steps. For our purposes today, I'm not going to run through that because I don't want to claim affiliation with an organization I'm not actually connected to. So I'm going to go ahead and just jump back to the main search screen we were just on. So let's imagine we did actually claim affiliation with an organization, and now we want to actually add some teammates to the platform to collaborate with us on Impala. So we can go up here to the top right of the window where my initials are listed, click on my initials and go into account settings. And so in this account settings page, this is where all the users who are affiliated with the same organization have accounts listed. So we can see here, I'm the only one listed because I'm the only one connected to myself. And if we wanted to add somebody else to this account, we can go ahead and just click this gold add user button here at the right-hand side. And a new little side window pops us up for us to fill in some details. So most importantly, name and email address, and role. And I want to just flag that these asterisks you'll see throughout, as you might suspect, indicate that these fields are required for you to proceed with this process. So I think name and email are straightforward, but I want to do a quick explanation of what role is all about. So there are three options that you can pick from for a role. The first of those is the admin option that you see here at the top. And a person who is an admin has the ability to both add users and make changes to the profile. Somebody who is an editor, the second option, is somebody who can make changes to the profile, but they don't have that capability to add new users to the account. And that last option you're seeing here, viewer, that is somebody who can just simply see everything on Impala through the lens of their organization. And so this is a great use for a board member if you want somebody to be able to poke around on Impala and explore and see things from the perspective of your organization, but you don't want them making changes to your profile. You can select this viewer option. That's a great choice. And once you've set up this information here, you go ahead and click that add user button at the top right. And then that person will get an email just like we got a moment ago. And they can go ahead and get started just as quickly as we did. And I want to flag one other thing here. So let's say you have a peer colleague at another organization that you think might be interested in getting started on Impala. Folks can go ahead and use this invite friends button here at the top right. And this is for inviting folks who are external to your organization. And similarly, we simply fill in their name and email address here, and then we can click send invitation to send them an email to get going on Impala. So those are the two ways that folks can get going on Impala who either connected to or external to your organization. I'm going to go ahead and shift gears a little bit now and go on to show us through some search and profiles. And I'm actually going to switch accounts to do that. So give me a moment of grace to do that for us. And just a reminder for folks to please mute as so we can have limited background noise as we're going through. So I'm gone ahead and logged into my account. And we can see here again, this page we've now become pretty familiar with is this search page here on Impala, where I can search all those over 2 million profiles for funders and nonprofits across the country. And so for our purposes today, I'm going to just quickly jump in to show us a profile. We'll start with a nonprofit profile. And this might feel a lot like filling out a LinkedIn profile. It's things that you can fill in the kind of the baseline information, and then you can add things as you go through. So the organization I'm going to take a look at with you all today is the Samaritans Inc., which some of you might be familiar with. They're a Boston-based organization. So I've gone ahead and clicked into their profile here. What we're seeing here is the standard structure for any nonprofit profile across the platform. You'll have this nice header section at the top, and then you have these three sections here: impact, people, and financials. So let's take a quick look into this header information here at the top, and that's where we'll start today. And a quick note, anywhere you see this pencil icon throughout the platform, that indicates something that you can change or update as a user. So we're going to go ahead and click this edit button here, and this new window opens up showing us that information that we can change for our profile. So again, just that seeing that asterisk means that's something we need to fill in, and the other fields that don't have that are optional. So we've got organization name. So maybe since you last filed a 990, you've changed the name of your organization in some way, or perhaps you have a doing business as instead. You can go ahead and make changes here to that information. The other piece I want to call attention to is this headquarters address. So, we know a lot of folks changed addresses during COVID, and things are in flux. So if you've had a change of address since your last 990 has been filed, go ahead and take a quick look here and make sure this information is accurate. In particular, this geographic information around city and state feeds into other parts of the platform. So it's important that this is accurate and up to date so that you are found in the right places. We also encourage folks to add social media if they have it. It's another way for folks to come and learn about your organization, but certainly not required, as you can see. And this last section here is this leadership attributes. So let's say you have somebody in your C-suite who meets one of these leadership attributes criteria. We encourage you to select that and keep that updated if it changes. This is another way folks can find you on the platform. So really quick to just run through and add these small little details, but important so that you're found in all the right places on Impala. So we'll go back here to the main page, and we can see all of that data that we just saw filled in is reflected here in this header section. And in particular, one other place that we can make a change here is we hover over and see this pencil icon on the logo. We could click in here, and if we wanted to update our logo, maybe we rebranded recently, we can click there and either click to upload, or drag and drop the file here to go ahead and make that change, have that nice little visual representation on our profile. So we just covered everything in this header. These are all things that you can change and update. And these are all things that folks coming to your public profile will see. I'm going to do a quick run through this financial section to dig a little bit deeper into other data points that are relevant to our conversation today. So at a high level, I'm sure you've noticed we see some data points around financials like assets and revenues, but I want to show some of the visuals to convey like the importance of getting your profile up to date. So here we go. We start right here at the top with this funders change graph. And so what this funders change graph is telling us is the number of new funders who started supporting Samaritans and those who stopped supporting in any given year. And we can actually click in and see who those organizations are who started and stopped supporting Samaritans each year. And in particular, this is useful if I'm a nonprofit, perhaps trying to fundraise and I do similar work as Samaritans. I can come and see who their new supporters are and use that as an initial way to identify some new prospects. Let's go ahead and scroll down. I won't go through all these visuals, but you can see some nice representations of the data that is uploaded on their profile. And now we can see at the bottom, we have this nice chart. It's a funder summary chart. It's the first one we're presented here. And this is an aggregated list of all the historical giving to support Samaritans. So we can see there are a number of foundations who have supported them multiple years. And so this is a helpful way to get a big picture snapshot of all the support Samaritans has received. And again, if I'm a nonprofit who does similar work, this is another place I can come to see who has been a longtime supporter of this organization. We can also take a look at this grants received list here, and this is a listing of every individual grant that Samaritans has received, broken down by who gave the money, what a description of the project, when it was given, how much was given, and whether or not it was given through a donor advised fund. So I know we just covered a lot. We just ran through a couple of visuals and charts here, and you might be wondering, this is a lot, Danielle. Where did all this data come from? And I want to flag kind of one of the most important things you can do is, as I mentioned, we draw this data from 990s from the IRS. And so a lot of you might be aware the IRS is woefully behind on getting their database updated with latest 990s that folks have submitted. So we encourage you when you log on to check out in this header section up here where it says 990s, what the latest 990 is that we have on file for you. So we can see here Samaritan's latest 990 is from 2020. If they had a more recent one, they could come in here and click this plus sign here and upload their 2021 990. So with just 2 clicks, they can upload their 990, and then we take it from there. Within 48 hours, we use that updated file to make the necessary changes to your profile with that new data. So just 2 clicks from you, and then we take it from there. Really, the name of the game with Impala is we want it to be a light lift and really easy for you to get started and get going. So with that, I'm going to switch us to talking a little bit about this people section here. And we know philanthropy is such a data-driven and relationship-driven sector. And so in particular, this people section here is doing just like what it sounds. It's telling us all of the individuals who are affiliated with Samaritans, whether they are a board member, a staff member, or a member of the executive team. And so all of this, again, drawn from that 990 that I just mentioned a moment ago. But let's say you had a recent change to any of these roles and responsibilities, you can go ahead yourself and add a person to this list. So let's click the add person button, see what that's like. So again, we have this new window that pops up and we see the opportunity to fill in the person's name and details about the role that they have served in connection to our organization. In particular, if they maybe served more than one role with our organization, we can go ahead and click add position to add in an additional role and its affiliated details. So once we've filled in that information with all the required asterisks fields completed, we can then click the add person button at the top right, and they'll get added to this list of our affiliated people. I want to clarify one thing that we often hear from folks. So this is a listing of all the folks who are affiliated with you. This is not a list of the users. So if you're trying to add new users to your team, that's the step we did previously, where we went to the account settings using our initials at the top right. This is just a chart showing us all the people who are past and present affiliations with our organization. And then one last thing I want to jump into is this impact section here. And this is actually, to be honest, probably my favorite section of the profile, because this is really where an organization gets to tell its story on its own terms in its own words. So to start, we're going to take a look at this cause area section here. And this is the place where you as an organization get to describe what type of work you focus on. So we can already see here, Samaritans has a couple filled in for their profile. And we can again click that pencil icon that allows us to edit throughout the platform. It opens this new side panel here where we can just click in and see a whole list of potential cause areas to choose from. So this list is drawn from the IRS's NTEE codes, which some of you might be familiar with. And you can click into any of these larger categories to select them for your profile. But more importantly, if you want to get more nuance, you can click the little caret along the left to select whichever ones are relevant to you. You can select as many as you want. There's no limitation, and we in particular encourage you to select any and all that are relevant to your work. This will ensure again that you're found in all the places that you should be found as people are searching the platform. So once you've selected those, you can go ahead and click the Save Changes button at the top right, and those will be updated on your profile here. And similarly, we can do a process for population. So this is speaking to the folks that you work with as an organization. What are the communities where you do work? Who do you serve? So you can again go ahead and click this pencil here, just like we did previously. And the same process, we go ahead and click in and a list appears below. And we can use the scroll bar on our mouse to scroll through this list. And again, click through the carets to click into subcategories that might be relevant to our work. So once we've selected any and all that are relevant to our organization, we can go ahead again and click the Save Changes button here at the top right, and that will be updated here on the profile as well. So those are some nice high level ways to describe the work of your organization. And let's segue into some more nuanced opportunities to tell your story. So we can see here this next section, key impact metrics. So what this is a place to do is share about your successes and impact as an organization. So you could think about this as maybe drawing on data that you might have put together for a recent annual report or a recent maybe grant progress report you put together for a funder as a way to spotlight the impact of your work. So we can already see here Samaritans has added 3 key data points to spotlight what they do. And we can again click the pencil icon here to do add more into this section. And so we see here those 3 already listed, and we can click add new metric here to go ahead and add a brief narrative description of up to 50 characters, an associated value to go with that description, and then a unit to go along with that. So this could be a dollar amount, a flat number, or a percent. You can decide how you want it to be flagged. Once you've filled in that information, it's just as simple as clicking the submit change button here, and that information will be updated in this section of the key impact metrics on your profile. So bear with me, there's one last section here where you can really dive in and tell more about your organization, and this is the program section. So this is just like what it sounds. It's a place for you as an organization to spotlight the activities that you offer. So we can already see here that Samaritans has 3 programs listed for their organization. And if we wanted at any point to edit an existing program listing, we have that opportunity with this pencil icon here. And you can see along the right-hand side that these 3 programs are reflected on this map on the right. So anytime you add a program, it'll be updated on this map. Let's go ahead and see what it's like to go ahead and add a program. So I'm going to click the add program button here, and this panel pops up for us to fill in its additional details. So some obvious things that you might expect, so the program name and description, but more importantly is these things here, the cause areas, just like what we did previously in the profile. We can click in here and draw on that list from the IRS's NTEE codes and select any and all that are relevant. And same thing here for the population served, like we just did earlier up on the profile page. Important other things to fill in are these other required fields. So if you have details on the number of people who this program served, you should fill that in here. If it's not something that's really quantifiable, go ahead and toggle this off so the system will let you proceed with submitting this program. And revenue expenses, you can see these are optional fields, but we encourage you to include them if you have that relevant information. And then the other key important piece here, last but not least, is this program locations here. So the system draws on geographies listed both on your headquarters as well as in the program locations. So please do include the relevant geographies here so you appear in the right places on the platform. So once you've filled in each of these required fields, you go ahead and click the create program, and it will appear here on this list of programs. But more importantly than just appearing on your own profile, what I want to mention is the additional visibility that you get when you add programs. So anytime you add a program to your own profile as a nonprofit, it will also appear on all of your funders' profile pages. So anyone who has supported your work will have your program details also visible on their profile page. So this gives you visibility not only to those existing funders, but to anyone coming to their page. So maybe a peer funder is coming to browse and see who is this other funder supporting, and they might have an additional opportunity for open up an additional opportunity for collaboration based on the exciting things they see that you are doing. So I know I just covered a lot. We covered 3 different sections and we covered multiple ways to make changes to the profile. I want to switch gears a little bit and just show you a funder profile instead, which has a lot of similarity, but has a couple key differences as well. So all of the changes we made here on this profile are also things that you can do on a funder profile as well if you are from a funding organization. So we're going to go ahead here and pull up a profile for a foundation, and we'll jump through some of the key differences. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the foundation for Metro West. And right off the bat, you might notice it has a similar look and feel to the nonprofit profile that we just looked at, but also a couple key differences. So we still have this impact, people, and financial section here, and we still have all of the same header information up here at the top. But you might have noticed these 2 new sections on the right. We have both the funding section here and the funding overlap. I'm going to briefly run through both of these two new sections to give you an additional sense of the data that is so important that you update on your profile. So let's go ahead and jump into this funding section here. And we see some nice headline data here at the top about this foundation's giving. For example, let's take a look at this multi-year grantees. So we can see that just over 50% of the Foundation for Metro West's grantees have received multiple years of support from the foundation. In addition, we can see here details on the median grants. So let's say I'm a nonprofit and I think I want to apply to the Foundation for Metro West for the first time. I don't maybe have any good sense about what a reasonable request is. So I can come here and take a look to get set an expectation of what I should plan to request when I'm submitting that application that will be well received by the funder. So these are helpful data points to use as a nonprofit as you're thinking about applying to a foundation. And we'll take a quick spin through a couple of these visuals. So looking at this years in portfolio graph, what this is telling us is a lot about longevity of relationships. So if you become an initial grantee of this foundation, what is the likely timeline of my relationship with this funder? Am I likely to receive ongoing support? That can help you gauge the priority level of reaching out to this organization as a potential supporter of your work. The other place I want to flag here is this nonprofits change, which might look familiar to the other graph we looked at on the previous profile. And what this is telling us is how many new nonprofits the Foundation for Metro West started supporting and how many they stopped supporting each year. So this is the helpful way for you as a funder to see kind of the fluctuations in your portfolio, but also for a nonprofit to understand if this foundation is someone who regularly supports just the same steady set of nonprofits, or if they're open to perhaps some supporting some new organizations. So this is a good place to start and take a look at that data. Let's take a look down here as well. We have some other visuals down here at the bottom. We have both this grants by year and grants by size graph available. And I'm going to focus on this grants by size graph. So this is just like what it sounds. It's an ability to review the different grants that this foundation has given in different categories of funding dollar amounts. So let's say I am a nonprofit and I'm fundraising for a particular dollar amount, let's say $5,000 to $10,000. I can click in here to this graph, and it actually interacts with both the graph to the left and the chart below that I'm about to show you. So we can scroll down here and see this grants given chart. And this is telling us each individual grant that this foundation has made based on each year in each organization. So we see here the nonprofit who received the support, what it was for, when it was given, how much it was for, and whether or not it was given through a donor advised fund. And so this is a place you can come and look again to figure out if you are an organization like these organizations on this list and whether or not you as a nonprofit might have some good alignment with this funder. We can also take a look at this grantee summary page, which is a historical aggregated list of all of the nonprofits that this funder has supported. So as a funder, this is a place where you can come and look to see kind of your historical giving patterns to particular organizations if you're trying to get a handle on how much you have given over the years to a particular nonprofit. And this is also a place as a nonprofit where you can see there's some really nice long-term relationships that this funder has with its nonprofits. So I'm going to scroll back up to the top. And again, all of this data, I want to remind you, all of this data that you just saw, that I just showed you in this robust analysis, comes from these 990s. So it is so important that when you come in, you take that initial step of go ahead and clicking that plus sign, uploading your 990 and letting us update your data for you. We want to ensure that you and everyone coming to your profile is seeing the most accurate information. So it's so important that you go ahead and do that. I'm going to jump real quick into this funding overlap section here. So this is the other new section on the funder profile. And this is just like what it sounds. This is a place where we can see all of the foundations who have funded in common with the Foundation for Metro West. So we can see there are over 13,000 funders that have this kind of co-funder label in our system with the Foundation for Metro West. And let's take the Boston Foundation for an example. So we can see here that the Boston Foundation and Foundation for Metro West funded 58 nonprofits in common for combined giving of almost $13 million. And we can actually click in here and see more detail on that connection. So for example, if I'm the Foundation for Metro West, and I may be trying to identify a funder to do a new co-funded grant program with, I can come to this list to identify who might be a good fit for that. Or alternatively, if I'm already a grantee of one of these foundations, then it's a good indicator to me that there is some alignment and I might be able to submit an application to this other organization. So again, I want to stress all this data you're seeing here is drawn from the 990s of the nonprofits and funders on the platform. So we already have a lot of those scraped from the IRS, as I mentioned, but the more recent ones that you can add, the more robust the information that you see on your profile will be. So we've just covered a lot. We covered profiles of funders and nonprofits. We covered how to get started on Impala and how to invite both colleagues and friends to join the platform. I want to shift gears a little bit to just show you where all of that data then plugs into the platform. So where it presents itself elsewhere on the platform besides the profiles. So let's go ahead and jump back to that search page that we previously looked at here. And as we've done now a couple of times, you can search, of course, just by a specific organization name if you have one in mind. I also want to flag here, remember that people section we filled in and we looked at on the profile page. This is a place where you can search for people. If you know somebody and you're trying to see who they're affiliated with, you can search their name here and come up with that information. For our purposes today, I'm just going to focus on this organization section here. And as a reminder, this is the search of every nonprofit and funder profile across the entire US, which is over 2 million profiles available. And let's say we want to do an advanced search. We can go ahead and click in here to this filter section and select a number of various criteria. I want to call attention just to a couple of these that are most relevant to the profile changes we just looked at. So in particular, this geography section here, you can search by city, state, or county level. And that's so important. That's drawing from the geographic data that you updated on your profile. And here, the same thing with the cause areas. This is, remember, filling in that cause area on your profile. That's where this search is drawing from. So ensuring that that information on your profile is up to date will ensure that you're found in a search tool for those relevant criteria. And the last place I want to flag, you might remember we looked at leadership attributes as well on the profile, and folks can search by that criteria here in the advanced search function. So it's important that you update that information as it might change at your organization so you're found where you should be on the platform. So if you selected any criteria, you would go ahead and then click apply filters and the search results would update accordingly. And this is the feature, as I mentioned earlier, and Kelton mentioned earlier, that is free and always will be free with unlimited search and profile views. So you'll always be able to have access to this robust analysis and search function, no matter what. I want to quickly shift gears to this ecosystems tool here. I referenced it briefly earlier, but really just want to encourage, if you're excited about what I'm about to show you, that you should join us for our upcoming session with Philanthropy Mass that will be dedicated specifically to this tool. So an ecosystem is looking at any group of funders and nonprofits operating anywhere across the country. So we think about that in three categories. We think about that in terms of landscape markers. So this is things like geography and cause areas. So just like what we filled in on the profile, it's drawing on that data for both the programs and the headquarters for both cause area and location. So we could look at things like climate change in Boston and identify maybe new funders who are operating in that space who might support my work as a nonprofit, or perhaps identify new nonprofits to invite to my grant program as a funder. We also think about it in terms of funders. So let's say I'm a nonprofit and I've developed a list of funders who are on my short list for fundraising. I can go ahead and plug them into this list of funders and see a comparison analysis of those folks to prioritize my outreach efforts. Then there's the last but not least, the nonprofits option here. And this is a way perhaps as a funder to plug in a list of applicants and do some comparison and analysis for my due diligence efforts, or as a nonprofit to plug in peer organizations and see who is funding those organizations. So I won't go any deeper than that, but all this information here across the ecosystems is drawn from those 990s and that geographic and cause area information that you filled out across your profiles. So really, it's important to fill it in throughout the platform so that you show up where you should in both the search and ecosystems tool. So I'm gonna, with that, I know we covered a lot. We covered search and ecosystems and we covered profiles. I'm gonna switch gears back to my slides to just do a couple things to wrap us up and allow some time for Q&A. Thank you all for bearing with me as we made it through the demo today. So let's go ahead and jump into the slideshow. So if you aren't already on Impala, if you haven't already joined, you will receive an email invitation to get going on Impala following today's session. So, and in particular, we looked at claiming your organization's profile. So if you are at a nonprofit or at a foundation, go ahead and claim that affiliation so that you can look at things through that lens and make edits to your profile like we learned today. And that really only takes 2 minutes. And once you've done that, you can get going, poking around in those profiles and searching and browsing through the ecosystems tool. And so I want to emphasize that at any point in this process or any time on your journey on Impala, if you have questions or comments, please don't hesitate to reach out to us, support@impala.digital, and somebody will get back to you as soon as possible. We really want to ensure that this is a light lift for you to get started and get what you need out of the platform. So don't hesitate to reach out to us at any time. And with that, I'm going to just jump into some FAQs. I won't read all of these to you because I know you probably all have some actual questions that we should get to in the chat. But I just want to touch on one real briefly that we tend to get a lot as we do these presentations, and that's what happens after 2 years. So you might remember we have this really exciting partnership with Philanthropy Mass, the Bar and Boston Foundation that offers you access to everything I just showed you, along with the ecosystems tool that we didn't dive into in depth. So after those 2 years, you will just have the option to continue maintaining access with a low monthly subscription fee. I want to really emphasize here that we are very committed to making sure folks have access to data. And so we won't be making this a heavy lift for folks. We won't be having an exorbitant fee associated with this, a big surprise bill after 2 years. We really want to ensure that folks can use the data that is on the platform to support their work. But there's also always the option to just return to that robust free version, which includes all those full profiles and unlimited searches and intel on every grant given and received like we ran through on the profiles today. So with that, I'm going to open it up for questions. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and welcome anyone to chime in with anything that might have come up as we were reviewing things today. Simon, I don't know if you've had any chats come through, but happy to jump in.
Yeah, so everyone, please feel free to jump in. You can drop something in the chat or you can just raise your hand here. I see, for example, that Andy raised, can we just clarify what's the difference between the free version and the premium version? So everything that Danielle showed you today, all of those profiles, all 2.9 million of them, as well as the search to be able to find them, and every part of those profiles, from beginning to end is all free. That will always be free. The premium part is that ecosystem section. But the good news is that for all of you here, you also have access to that for free for 24 months, thanks to the Boston Foundation, the Bar Foundation, and of course, Philanthropy Massachusetts. So I'd also really encourage you to sign up for the ecosystems training that's coming up. I put a link in the chat, and that will help you to dive deeper into that premium part and see just how powerful it is.
So great question from Den. So, I think that's related to the key impact metrics section we showed on the profile. That section is really free form and up to you however you want to present it. So you can define that impact metric however you want. So if you wanted to present it as combined and use the narrative to explain that, you could do so, or you could list them separately. It's really flexible and up to you how you want to tell your story on your profile. I also see another question here about signing up. So once you get that email for signing up, we will anyone who gets that email will already have ecosystems turned on for them on the platform. So you should, when you log in, already see that ecosystems option available at the top of your screen when you log in.
Yeah, just jumping off Danielle's answer there. If for some reason you don't see ecosystems turned on, or you're just having some trouble logging on, just reach out to support@impala.digital. I'm just dropping it in the chat. We're all real people. There's about 5 or 6 of us who receive those emails, and we try to get back to them really, really quickly. So just don't hesitate, reach out, and we'll make sure you get sorted out.
Any other questions that we should, or Simon, any that came up a lot that we might talk through a little bit more, or have we covered all our bases today?
I think we've covered most things. Again, I just want to emphasize that it's a really great thing to do is to upload a more recent Form 990. So if you've got a Form 990 from 2021 that you filed already, just upload it. If you're having trouble with that, just email it to us. The good thing with doing that is it takes all the work out of your hands. So we'll take that information, we'll turn it around in about 48 hours, and we'll automatically update your profile for you. And that just means that all of those financials, all of the people will be updated to that level, and it takes the work out off you guys. Because obviously we have much more important things to do and people to help than simply spending time updating your profiles. Another question from Jill. I believe Philanthropy Massachusetts is going to send out an email not too long after this with a link to the recording. Phyllis just confirmed that. So stay tuned. You should receive that relatively shortly. And we'll probably also put a copy of that on our website as well. Also, just another plug, there's a ton of resources to help you. So if you go to impala.digital, you'll see a help desk, but you can always email us as well, and we can point you in the right direction. There's little short videos of about 1 minute, 3 minutes that can show you how to update this, how to use that. And they're available free to you, just to make sure that you have all the tools you need to use the platform and get the most out of it. And a great question from Susan. So yes, consultants very frequently use the platform. We get this is one of our most popular questions. And the short answer is you can have access to multiple profiles. So even if you're not a consultant, for example, and you sit on the board of 3 different organizations, if you have permission, you can have access to all of those profiles. So just reach out to us at support and we'll make sure that you're linked to all of them. And you can just toggle between them. It's a great way to support your different clients and to see the world through their eyes and have access to data about, for example, who's funding them and how those funders relate to other funders, as Danielle showed you. So a really powerful tool, but yes, you can have access to multiple profiles. And related to that, it's also important to note you can have as many users as you like. So, everyone in your organization can have their own login here. There's no limit, there's no fee for that. It could be 1 of you, it could be 100 of you. So go for it.
I also see a question here. Are grants listed on profiles only reflecting money grants? We receive millions of in-kind grants of resources. Should we add those in? So I want to first clarify that the grants listed are drawn from the 990, so they're not things that you can actively add or adjust on your profile. If they're reflected on your 990 as a grant, they will show up. Simon, I'm wondering if you have any sense of where kind of that in-kind information shows up, or if this is something maybe we should bring back to our team to consider.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. That's not something we've come across as much, but the impact tab in the profile, so that's the one on the left, that's a really good place to tell your story. And I think this would be a good place to showcase that story. So I'd probably start by putting it in the metrics there. And you could list, for example, the numbers in terms of the type of in-kind donations you receive. And that's a good way to show funders the kind of work you're doing, the support you provide. We also have another great question from Susan Stott. So you're a more recent organization. Again, a really common question. So if you filed a 990 or you haven't yet filed a 990, it could have just been in the last couple of years. Don't worry. Just email us at support@impala.digital. If you can, just give us your EIN. And what we'll do is we'll take care of it on the back end and manually create a profile for you. So you won't be left off. We'll just have to sort of work some processes in the background and we'll make it happen for you.
we don't see any other questions coming through. I want to emphasize what Simon just said, that if you have other questions when you get off today, don't hesitate to reach out to us with those. We're always happy to help and make sure that the platform is working for you as best as possible. So with that, I'll pass it back to Kelton for any like wrap up or closing before we head out for the afternoon.
Thanks, Danielle. Nothing huge to add other than thank you, both to you and Simon for spending this hour with or 50 minutes with us this afternoon and going through all of this. I love seeing all the questions, engagement in the chat, and all the enthusiasm about the product. So that's exciting. And I hope to see everybody on the 22nd at our next session with the Impala team focused on ecosystems. I know that link has been shared a few times. So I hope to see you there. And I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
So cool. Bye, everyone. Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.